Welcome to Unit 2, Video 3. In this video, we are going to cover the religions of both Hinduism and Buddhism. We're going to begin with Hinduism. Hinduism, we will talk about the beginnings of. It's going to come from early history in India. We already talked about the Indus Valley Civilization. We covered the fact that there were individuals living in India. And then a group known as the Aryans are going to move from the area around the Fertile Crescent into India and elsewhere. And they're going to settle, they're going to stay and kind of merge with those who already live in India at the time. And they're going to create the caste system. We've covered what the caste system is already. It is that rigid social system that existed for a long time in India. And it did divide Aryans and non-Aryans. So Aryans, the ones who came from the Fertile Crescent area, and the non-Aryans, who are going to be those who lived in India when the Aryans arrived, are going to be separated in this caste system. The Aryans in the higher levels and the non-Aryans in the lower. At first, Aryans and non-Aryans followed separate forms of religion. But as they intermingled, the religion blended together, resulting in thousands of gods. So in Hinduism, they are considered monotheistic, so belief in one God, but they believe in many forms of one God. So this can get a little tricky in our monotheism, polytheism representations. But Hinduism is considered a monotheistic religion, but they believe in many forms of one God. Hinduism does develop over time. It is a collection of religious beliefs that develop slowly over a long period of time. And there's no one founder that we can say started the religion. And it did not start with a single set of ideas, but rather a collection of ideas that come together over time. Hindus, or those who practice Hinduism, share a common worldview. They see religion as a way of liberating the soul from the illusions, disappointments, and mistakes of everyday existence. The basic concept in all Indian religions is interconnectedness of all life, and we're going to expand on that. What is considered the holy books of Hinduism are the Vedas and the Upanishads. The Vedas are songs to the gods, and Hindu teachers try to interpret and explain the hidden meaning of the Vedas. Upanishads are written dialogues or discussion between students and teachers that help explain Hinduism, and they explore the release from desires and suffering, and they kind of explain what moksha is, which is a state of perfect understanding of all things. According to Hinduism, Atman is the individual soul of a living being, and Brahman is the world soul that contains and unites all Atmans. Moksha is where a person understands the relationship between Atman and Brahman. That person achieves perfect understanding, which is considered moksha. And this is what happens, when this happens, their soul is released from the life in this world. This, according to Hindu beliefs, this does not come in one lifetime. It cannot come in one lifetime. In Hinduism, people who practice Hinduism believe in reincarnation, which means an individual soul or spirit is born again until moksha is achieved. So a person will go through life from being a child to an adult. When they die, their soul is reborn. They are born again into another child, an adult, and they live another life. Karma is the knowledge that all thoughts and actions affect future consequences. And karma can be followed from one reincarnation to another. So part of the belief is that your karma from a previous life can influence who or what you come back as in a future life when you are reincarnated. So again, Hinduism is a belief in many forms of one God. And so these are some of the representations of that. Hinduism and society. Hindu ideas about karma and reincarnation strengthened the caste system. They are connected, and so those born into higher castes gain the good fortune through good karma in a former life. So the belief in reincarnation and karma kind of helped support the caste system, kind of keep it going, because it was believed that if you were in one of the higher classes, that perhaps you had good karma from a previous life. As opposed to if you're in a lower caste, perhaps you had bad karma from a previous life, and that's what got you there. Those born in the top 3 levels of the caste system can hope to achieve moksha in their present lifetime. Those who are not in the top 3 levels of the caste system did not have any hope of achieving moksha. They can only hope to do good and to act good, to think good, so that they will have good karma for a future life when they are reincarnated, hopefully into a higher level of society, at which point it is believed they could achieve moksha, that ultimate understanding and the release of the soul. So that is the end of Hinduism, and we're going to move into Buddhism now. Both Hinduism and Buddhism originate or come from India originally, but there were some who did not agree with some of the concepts in Hinduism, and so Buddhism is going to be similar in some senses and different in some senses. Some problems that people had with Hinduism at the time was the inequality and the inaccessibility that existed. So when Buddhism began to spread, people who started to practice Buddhism saw that it was a more independent faith, a more independent way of life, and so they appreciated that. Siddhartha Gautama grew up sheltered from the world. When he left his palace, he was shocked by what he saw. He ends up becoming the founder of Buddhism. Again, his name is Siddhartha Gautama. He left his life in a palace to seek wisdom, and he saw the difficulties that existed in life. He saw the bad things that existed. So it is said that he meditated under a tree until he finally discovered the truth about the world. And he became known as the Buddha, or awakened or enlightened one. According to Buddhism, there are 4 noble truths. Those 4 are listed here. 1, to live is to suffer. So if you're alive, you have to suffer because you're alive. Number 2, suffering is caused by desire. So because you're alive, you naturally have desires. This is what causes suffering. Number 3, to end suffering, you must get rid of all desires. And number 4, to do so, follow the Eightfold Path to enlightenment. So the 4 noble truths are simply that desire causes suffering, and to end suffering, you have to rid yourself of desires. Buddhists believe in nirvana, which is another term for the idea of enlightenment, which is release from selfishness, release from pain. And enlightenment can be achieved, according to Buddhists, by acting, thinking, and believing in the proper way. Nirvana ends your soul's reincarnation. So Buddhists also believe in the idea of reincarnation, being reborn. Buddhists also believe in karma, much like Hindus. Instead of determining caste, though, karma provides your reincarnated self with desirable qualities: wealth, beauty, influence, things like that. Karma is also based on your intentions, not just your actions. So it's how you think and how you act internally as well as externally. So some of the differences between Hinduism and Buddhism are that Buddhism rejects the caste system, and that Buddhism is very personal and individual, whereas Hinduism requires priests. It is more of a group mentality of meeting with others, of outward practicing. Buddhism is more independent and inward practicing. It's important to note that Buddha is not a god. Buddha is a title granted to Siddhartha Gautama, who is a man who lived in the earlier years of Indian history. In Buddhism, there is no god that is worshipped. This here is a stupa, and this is a mound tomb. Originally was just a mound tomb. Eventually it will be transformed into a monument. And the idea is this is a place where Buddhists, those who practice Buddhism, could go They could visit. It's kind of like a religious site, almost a holy site. It's believed to contain ashes or relics of a Buddha, of someone who's reached enlightenment. So it's kind of like a religious location, a place where Buddhists can go. Ashoka the Great from the Mauryan Empire, which we talked about in the last video, is going to be the one who really starts spreading Buddhism eastward and southeast. He has missionaries go out and spread Buddhism into Asia, into China, into the southeast, and even to this day, a lot of these regions practice Buddhism. Now, both Buddhism and Hinduism begin in India. Hinduism will largely stay in India. Buddhism will spread more into China and other areas of Asia. This is the end of the video on Hinduism and Buddhism.